Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, Trump's Department of Health and Human Services now freezing child care funds to the state of Minnesota. That's a biggie. Freezing funds temporarily for child care because of the fraud allegations that are taking place in that state. That is a big deal. And that may go all the way up to $9 billion with AB. Here is the GOP chair for the state of Minnesota. We talked with him earlier today on where this is headed.
Well, I think it'd be impossible to think that it would have anything but an effect. How it affects the outcome is yet to be determined. There are a couple of aspects. First off, I think that if the word gets out, because a lot of the mainstream media is not actually reporting on this stuff like you guys are or Fox News, but many of the mainstream media here are ignoring it or lightly touching it. And so a lot of people that rely on mainstream media for their news are probably not as sensitive to the fraud or the scale of fraud as there actually exists. So it's our challenge to get that word out to those people who have a rational mind and can say, you know what, I don't like that. I think I'm going to vote for change. Another effect, kind of on the opposite of the back end of it, and I'm going to put my neck out here a little bit in saying this, but, you know, with all of the fraud and scandal that's being put out there virtually every day for our governor, I have to imagine he's under severe pressure within his own party. And although he is currently the only declared candidate for governor, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of a switch that's being planned to put somebody in that spot that would probably have less baggage than he does.
I think anybody would have less baggage than Tampon Tim Walz. But here is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison sort of revealing why the Somali population in Minnesota is so key. They're huge, they're a big voting bloc, and they helped him get elected.
The election is very important.
Yes, it is.
So can you tell us why the Somali communities are very important for the election?
Well, the Somali community is critical. In my own election, I wouldn't be in office without the help of the Somali community. Okay. Somali voters came out in very large numbers and were able to register people to vote. Very recently I think there was several thousand Somalis who were just naturalized as U.S. citizens. Yeah. Somalis can make a huge impact on this election. And I can tell you without a doubt, it's not just in Minnesota that Somalis make a big difference in the election. Also in Ohio, which is a battleground state. Somalis that are in Columbus, Ohio, and in Virginia, all have a role, an opportunity to play a very big role in this election. And so I think many of us are counting on the Somali community to get involved, stay involved, but not just vote. Help others vote. On my campaign, we have tremendous leaders. For example, Hibu Isaac, who is a great leader, very articulate, very smart young lady, who is out gathering in Somali voters and other voters to get them to the polls. Also, we have Miriam, who's on our campaign, and others as well. So we believe that the Somali community plays a critical role, not just in Minnesota, but in Ohio and in Virginia. And so call your relatives out there so we can get them to the polls.
Wow.
And he mentioned Ohio because remember Nick Shirley, who's sort of that independent journalist who showed up at that Minnesota child care center where it said Learning Center and it was supposed to be Learning Center. And apparently neighbors there said they didn't even see any kids coming in and out. which is a problem if you're a child daycare center and supposed to be operating and getting funds. So there are a lot of questions about that. But now you also heard from Keith Ellison saying that's the Minnesota Attorney General. Ohio, obviously, Somali population big there. And the number 2 city for Somalis, according to a lot of people, is Columbus, Ohio. I want to hear from Alice, by the way. We always hear from Alice in Ohio to get your perspective on this, because that would be interesting too. Alice, who always calls into the show. That would be fascinating. If she's listening, you got to call in, Alice. But this is interesting because then there was another independent journalist like Nick Shirley who showed up in Minneapolis. Well, there was another independent journalist who showed up in Columbus, Ohio, and he goes to one of the daycares that was receiving a lot of federal money, Somali run, same sort of situation there in Columbus, and he got the same sort of response as Nick Shirley did in Minneapolis. Remember, he said, "Where is everybody? Nobody's here." Well, guess what? That's the same thing that happened to this other journalist when he showed up at a place in Columbus, Ohio. Listen to this report.
It's a daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. I just seen it, the building itself. I've never seen nobody come out the building or go in the building.
You've never seen anybody over there?
No, not at all.
So right now we are in front of the Great Minds Learning Academy. This is one of the many daycare centers, learning centers here in Columbus, Ohio that are associated with the Somali community. As you know, Nick Shirley put out a bombshell report about all these fraudulent daycare facilities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we wanted to come out to Columbus, Ohio and investigate what might be going on in the second largest Somali community in the United States of America. So this place here is the first place we're going to knock, and we're going to see if anybody picks up or answers the door. Let's see. So, it's locked. We're ringing the doorbell here. Knocking on the door. Nobody's picking up. So we're not sure what the hell's going on here, but we're gonna get out of here. Now there's somebody over there. How you doing, sir? I'm sure you see the reports over the weekend about all the daycare centers in Minnesota. We just wanted to see what was going on. Did you know anything about this place here?
It's a daycare center owned by Somalians and stuff like that.
Do you ever see any kids there?
No, because they use the back door, so I want to know if they
use the back door.
Yeah, I've never seen nobody come in, but they use the back door.
But have you ever seen any kid? You live around here?
Yeah, on this building right here.
Oh, you're in this building?
Yeah.
You're in this building too? Hey, let me ask you, have you ever seen any kids in this place here?
No, not that I know of. They use the back, so I've never seen nobody come out the front.
You've never seen anybody over there?
No, not at all.
I just seen it, the building itself. I've never seen nobody come out the building or go in the building.
So we came to the back, just like those guys suggested, and there's nothing here. Yeah, we could keep poking around, but there's so many of these centers to go to. We're just getting started. So we're going to go around the city. We're going to go to a few more of these places. We're going to see if we can get anybody to talk to us. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Maybe there's a little bit of a problem if you got to search around and really hunt for any sort of kid in a daycare center, and then you got neighbors who live across the street who said they've been living there forever and they haven't seen any kids. That sounds like a bit of a problem. So in other words, this chaos that's going on in Minnesota clearly is probably widespread to many other key cities and states. We'll keep you posted on that for sure. Let's go to your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Roger in Massachusetts. Go ahead, Raj. Hey, Roger, there on line 4. Go ahead, Raj. Yep, you're on there. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you now. Go ahead, Raj.
Oh, okay. Listening to that politician talk about the voting bloc and how they all stick together and vote. Isn't that amazing? We open up all of our borders, And now groups from this country, that country, this country, they can all come here and they can start changing this into their own country rather than assimilate. Isn't that amazing, the way that sounded?
It's pretty sad, right? And your point is a good one, that I'm all for legal immigration, especially people that make this country better. But you're right, to change it and to defraud it, federal dollars, I mean, that's an enormous, enormous issue. And so far, I've heard nothing, it seems like, but excuses. Listen to Keith Ellison. You just heard him. That's the Minnesota Attorney General. Tim Walz, he seems to be in the river of denial. And then you hear like Ilhan Omar, who seems to be condemning people who are critical of it. I mean, you can't make it up, as opposed to saying, how could you do this to our country? Like you said, you come here at the will and the pleasure of America. And then at this point, there are a number of them. I think it's like 90 of them so far that have been charged. So I'd call it a widespread fraud.
Yeah, it's almost like, trying to change the get rid of America. Let's turn it into something else, sadly. And I don't care who lives next to me. And my neighborhood's changing. And I don't care if they're law-abiding and respectful. I have no problem with whatever nationality they come from. But, to come here to join us. Don't come here to take us over and make us into something that you want.
Yeah, and don't send money that is supposed to be going with the best of intentions to help underprivileged people, kids at daycare, nurturing them, food, education. Don't send money that was supposed to be with the best of intentions. There are allegations that some of that money, first of all, a lot of it, obviously, they're saying $9 billion may just be the tip of the iceberg. But then in addition to that, they're saying that some of it also went, Roger, to Al-Shabaab, the terrorist group in Somalia. I mean, if that's not disgraceful, I don't know what is, right?
Yeah, what other country would do that, would allow such a thing? Yeah. No other country would put up with it.
By the way, you are correct. No other country would ever put up with it. No other country would have had wide open borders like Joe Biden did to our country. And that's why we got to be smart. We got to be safe. And you're right. We got to put America first. Roger, thank you. Great call. Let's go to Rob in Long Island on line 2. Go ahead, Rob. Your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, you got a great show, Rita, and you're absolutely right. No other sovereign nation in the world would allow what we allow. No other sovereign nation in the world would want to change their demographics. Not South Korea, not Japan, not Russia, not China, not Hungary, not Poland. It's suicide of the West. It's insanity. But let me explain to all your listeners how we got here. And I want to go back to 1965 when the immigration laws were changed. And the three bad actors were none other than Bobby Kennedy, Teddy Kennedy, and LBJ. They changed the immigration laws at that time to allow not 100,000, but 1 million legal immigrants. And guess what? Most of them were from third world countries. And if you have 1 million legal coming in from third world countries, then another 1 million illegal coming in from third world countries, that's 2 million plus a year. In 60 years, we're talking about 120 million immigrants, legal and illegal, coming in from third world countries. Add the 20 million that Biden let in, that's 140 million, not to mention chain migration. I don't know if that's 10, 20, 30, or 40 million. Guess what? We've had enough immigrants from third world countries. It's time to pull up the plank. And basically that said Trump should do something about it because this country will not survive. One last thought. When they write the final chapter of this great republic, when the demise comes, it will be written on our epitaph that the cause of death was suicide.
Wow.
Thanks for your time, Greta.
Wow, Rob, very powerful comments.
and listen to your comments.
Thank you, Rob. Rob, you're terrific. I mean, that I'm telling you, that is very powerful. You're right. Death by suicide, because it is self-inflicted. There is no question. Although many of us didn't want that. And I think anybody with common sense would not want a wide open border. But you are absolutely correct. It started a while ago, and it was clearly turbocharged under Joe Biden. And I have no doubt in my mind, Rob, when you talk about those numbers, which is chilling, think about what a huge percentage of the American population that is, if we're talking 140 plus probably of migrants coming in, many legal, many illegal, as you aptly pointed out. And imagine if, the White House changes hands. And, 3 years from now, imagine first off next year, if the midterms, if it becomes a Democrat, they'll block everything Trump is doing, which is why, and Robert has said this from Brooklyn, who calls into the show, and this is a very smart point. Congress needs to start codifying a lot of the stuff that Trump wants done. A lot of these executive orders, unless they codify it, somebody can come right in like Trump did on day one and change all of these crazy executive orders that Joe Biden was doing. A Democrat can come in and change a lot of these executive orders that President Trump has done. So that's why, Congress needs to try to do what they can. If Trump can keep the House and the Senate, which would be an enormous feat because it's always the opposite party that usually wins than the one that's in the White House. But if he can keep them both, and he can push through his agenda and get some of these locations, get some of the most important ones of these executive orders codified. And especially when it comes to immigration and certain things, a lot of those things, that could be really powerful. Or get some things passed through Congress that really would start to really strengthen our borders. That would take another act of Congress to change it, not just the will of the president. That would be extremely significant because we need a sea change, as you so powerfully put, or we may be having a suicide, like you explained, in the not too near future, especially if Democrats take over and have a wide open border all over again. Great points, Rob. Thank you very much. You got to call back again. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is Charlie. He's my part rescue dog, part whirlwind. Half of his breakfast always ends up on the floor. And he leaves fur everywhere. That's why I grabbed the Bissell Power Clean Fur Finder. It's cordless, powerful, and actually finds fur you don't even see. If you've got a pet like Charlie, you've got fur everywhere. The Power Clean Fur Finder gets that. Discover how Power Clean Fur Finder makes pet cleanups effortless at Bissell.com.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And we are not that far away from New Year's Eve day. I can't believe it, guys. I will be with you on New Year's Eve, close to ringing in, of course, New Year's Eve. And boy, let's pray that 2026 is a safe and good and healthy one. And obviously, a lot of angst with Zohran Mamdani, a lot of angst with Minnesota with the Somalis. And as I mentioned, also problems there in Columbus, Ohio as well. When we come back, we're going to take your calls on that. Also, we're going to talk about the fact that New York State wants to do a mandatory class on January 6th to teach students about January 6th. Just like slavery and other things? Are these people nuts?
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Espolón Tequila. Slow, sticky, snoozy. They call these the dog days of summer. But Espolón? They don't do boring. Welcome to the Marg Days. Espolón Tequila. 100% blue Weber agave, born to shake up your summer. Just add lime, agave, and a little attitude. Visit espolontequila.com. Espolón Tequila, 40% alcohol, volume 80 proof. Copyright 2025 Campari America, New York, New York. Drink responsibly.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This is Jason Momoa, and I'll be your finance professor today. Welcome to Banking Smarter 101 with Chime. Bam! First lesson, sign up for Chime and set up direct deposit. You'll be joining millions of members banking fee-free. Second lesson, get cash back on eligible purchases while building credit and a higher APY on your savings. That's how you bank smarter this season. Fa-la-la-la-la, class dismissed. Join Chime today.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and a secure Chime Visa credit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. Details at chime.com/fees-info. With a qualifying direct deposit, earn 1.5% cash back on eligible secure Chime Visa credit card purchases. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. APY means annual percentage yield. Learn about credit building and more at chime.com.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. With $2,500 in annual value, the new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business is the card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Rita Cosby is on.
And so much happening. Zohran Mamdani becoming the next mayor of New York City in about 24 hours from now. Unbelievable. And also, the state of Minnesota, now they will no longer receive federal funds for childcare. That's put on hold. Big news tonight. And of course, that comes after all of the big scandals that are taking place there within the Somali community. Remember, it's like 90 of them so far that have been charged and many more coming. Also, everybody bracing for lots of security preparations because, of course, tomorrow it is New Year's Eve. And lots of preparations. If you look in major cities across America and across the world, there's a lot of extra law enforcement. In New York, for example, they are blocking sort of who can come in. They're screening everything. They're going to have extra officers, even within the Penn area. That's like that area right there in Times Square. In addition to that, they also busted somebody in Texas who had ties to ISIS, who was planning a New Year's Eve attack. Also in Los Angeles, in the last few weeks, we reported this, where there were a whole bunch of folks that were rounded up, tied. They were in the process of making bombs and planning on targeting different locations in Los Angeles. So this is why you can't have a wide open border, guys. And this is also why you got to vet people that are here, that are becoming radicalized. What about the guy, the Afghanistan guy? Remember the refugee who came here on that big rush withdrawal by Joe Biden and opened fire on everybody in the National Guard. Remember killing one National Guard, that female, Sarah, the other one fighting for his life. Really scary stuff. So it's just so important that everybody have a great and safe New Year's. Let's go to Alice in Ohio, line 4. Go ahead, Alice.
Hi, Rita. Thank you for taking my call. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So bear with me.
Alice, have you been singing too much? Is that why?
It was nearly 70 degrees here on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I'm so
no.
What do you make of it? What do you make of all these stuff that's going on with the Somali community? Big one there in Ohio. You heard me call you out.
Yes, I certainly did. I'm here every night. This only came to light about a month ago, and what I know is I could just call it hearsay. I read an interview with a young man who was applying for unemployment, and he was told that he wasn't eligible for it. He didn't understand it. He seemed to be, on the level. And what happened, what he observed was that there was a Somali individual in the same office applying for something, and they had an interpreter there, and the Somali individual got whatever he was applying for.
Oh, so he did not, but the Somali did.
Right, and apparently this is going on. Now, I haven't seen it. I don't know someone, so that's all I can tell you. What is surprising me, though, Governor Mike DeWine is pretty conservative, and he's a straight arrow. I haven't heard him make any comments.
You know what? You know what, Alice? That's a great point. You're right. He has been silent. It's like crickets. And you're right. He should be speaking out because there is a huge Somali population there in your area. But it's interesting. You're right. Like what you just said, them sort of favoring the Somali population. And if the Somali population, is gangbusters and doing what's great for America, I'm all for everybody doing well. The problem is these allegations are that it was obviously completely corrupt in many areas and billions of dollars. We're not talking like little pennies. I mean, these are an enormous amount of money. So this is really big stuff. So keep us posted, Alice, because there certainly seems to be a proclivity from lawmakers and others to kind of turn the other eye, turn the other cheek for potential corruption. And that's the big thing that a lot of people are saying may be the case with Tim Walz. So we'll find out what happens. And then let me know if you hear, especially there in your state, Mike DeWine. I'm curious. Keep us posted on that. That is a biggie. Alice, thanks so much. And everybody, I wanted to play this because earlier today we talked to Jim Trusty, a former Trump attorney and also former DOJ attorney, former federal prosecutor. We talked with him about the fact that New York State lawmakers looking to make a mandated public schools teaching class. Can you imagine? On January 6th. Guess what? Democrats are pushing that. Take a listen to this and a whole bunch more. It's a really fascinating interview. John, now we have Jim Trusty, former Trump attorney and also former federal prosecutor. Jim, there are so many things we got to ask you about. First off, I don't know if you saw this. We had some breaking news at the beginning, and you can't make this up, that New York State lawmakers are pushing for a bill mandating that public schools teach lessons on January 6th Capitol riots. And you couple that with the fact that it just came out, Jim, that the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries and others, are leading this charge on the 5-year anniversary of January 6th to hold hearings again because they say, Trump is terrible and we want to remind everybody. I mean, this is just, it's my jaw is dropping over January 6th.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, I live in the People's Republic of Montgomery County, Maryland. And so I would say they're probably only a half a step behind New York in terms of coming up with curriculum to make January 6th the most brutal, oppressive day in the history of the world. I think their only problem is how do they squeeze out some of the transgender promotion to put it in the curriculum. But it's probably coming in some of the liberal boroughs like Montgomery County in New York. And look, it's shameless politics. I mean, obviously, if these folks in office cared about history, they could do a lot more to help our students than try to focus on one day that they care about the politics for.
Yeah, I agree. And yet here is their message. Hakeem Jeffries putting out saying, because Trump, is tyrannical, this about the, what's so frightening, Jim, and you understand this all too well. They're already signaling, like Pelosi was asked, will you plan to push for impeachment about President Trump, if the House goes back to the Democrats? Well, I'm not planning on it. But she said the other two that we did, no regrets. The only person responsible is Trump himself. There's no self-reflection, Jim.
No, and there was a great phrase, I think it was Bill Bennett that put out the phrase, they've cheapened the currency of impeachment. And that was exactly right. I mean, they took something that's a safety valve for democracy under very dire circumstances, high crimes and misdemeanors, and they turned it into a joke political exercise, knowing that they weren't going to have enough to remove him from office, but relishing the idea of saying he's been impeached. And, I remember when the House managers trotted over for the trial, when they hadn't even drawn up charges, they hadn't heard evidence. They just said, we don't need to follow the rules. This is Donald Trump. So it's more of the same. I mean, it's the irregularities, the individualized treatment of Donald Trump that no other person has ever faced in our nation's history. It's frankly a lot of what lost them the election with Trump, and I don't think it's going to land points beyond the most diehard Trump haters at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Vito Fasella.
Jim, just a question then. To those who really just want to know the truth of what happened, whether it's January 6th or the raid at Mar-a-Lago, what would you tell those people? Just say, tell me the truth, what the perception of what happened, say, at Mar-a-Lago, and what really happened, and what went down, and what was egregious.
Yeah, that's a great question, and for the next 4 hours, I can give you a very concise answer. But look, for Mar-a-Lago, I would say this. It's easy when I go on a network like CNN. They always want to just say Trump lawyer. They want to leave out the fact that I was a prosecutor for 27 years. That I ran the DOJ organized crime and gang section. I'd been around, the department for 17 years. And what I saw in both cases were moments where DOJ, with White House blessing, would do something different, do something that was individualized. And that's the sign, that's the red flag that we're not seeing justice when there's procedural irregularities. So if you look at those cases combined, they criminalized a document dispute that's never criminalized for any president. They eliminated attorney-client privilege in the case of the Mar-a-Lago investigation. They eliminated executive privilege, which is something that's incredibly devastating to the institution of the presidency, to say we're not going to respect it for former presidents because we don't like them. They even ran up against the speech and debate clause in taking phones from congressmen. So, they created new rules for Donald Trump only, and then they publicized it in a very disciplined way by having a January 6th committee that just put out anything they could think of that's inculpatory while they buried the exculpatory.
How about the fact that they destroyed the evidence? I mean, Benny Thompson, who's head of the committee, destroyed the evidence.
No, long before that became public, I remember going over to the Hill and talking to some people and saying, how does this work? If they interview somebody who says, hey, by the way, Donald Trump was trying to get the National Guard there, or Donald Trump warned them, or Donald Trump said, go peacefully and patriotically. If a witness says that, what happens with that? Does it get reduced to writing? And they go, well, if it did, it'll get destroyed. And I was like, holy crap. And then, of course, Jack Smith took his cues from the J6 committee. So he took the evidence that Benny Thompson and them shared, which was selectively eliminating anything that was helpful to President Trump. So you talk about a rotten underpinning. That's what we had with J6. And then, of course, you had, I think, moments of intimidating witnesses, of eliminating privileges, of being extremely heavy-handed because of the political trophy at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jim Trusty, before we let you go, Mar-a-Lago, all this stuff has come out, that there really wasn't probable cause to even do the raid where they were going through everything there at Mar-a-Lago for classified documents. And I keep going back, Jim, to the contrast. All I think about is the documents that were found in, remember the red Corvette or whatever it was, Hunter's favorite car that was just parked there with boxes strewn all over the garage. Nothing happened to him. And yet there was a raid on Mar-a-Lago.
No, my favorite joke that nobody appreciates is when I call it Car-a-Lago. Literally, you've got a person in the form of Joe Biden who had no right to possess these documents off campus. These were things that he literally had to have taken out of a skiff. And even Chuck Schumer said, my God, he took stuff out of a secured facility. And he had those for a purpose, which was writing a self-serving book where he would announce that he was the smartest guy that's ever been in Washington. So the contrasts go the exact opposite direction. People say, oh, Trump's was worse. Absolutely not, legally or factually. What Joe Biden did was considerably worse than President Trump. And again, still the Department of Justice under Biden soldiered on to try to get a conviction against President Trump.
Yeah, it's incredible. Jim, you got to come back on again soon. Thank you for all you're doing for fighting for fairness and justice for all, equal justice.
Justice in the American way.
I've heard that before,
There you go.
John.
Happy to join you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Have a
All
great
right,
new
talk
year.
soon.
Really interesting discussion. I wanted to play because it's so interesting on so many levels about the Mar-a-Lago raid. And obviously, all of this tied to January 6th. It's going to be January 6th mania. It's the 5-year anniversary, and I don't think 5 minutes goes by in the Democratic Party where they don't talk about January 6th. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania. Joaquin, thanks for waiting there. Your reaction to all of this January 6th craziness?
I knew that it was coming. When I heard that on Cats and Costs today, that breaking news when Governor Pataki was on, I don't know how to explain my reaction to it, but I wasn't surprised. But really quick, in response to Rob, when he said that no other country would put up with it, all the countries of Western civilization, barring Poland maybe and Romania, are all following the same suicidal pact as we are right now.
Hungary is not. Hungary's pretty
Right,
tight on the borders. Yep.
And but look at this: Minnesota, Ohio, Virginia, and Maine are all being invaded and taken over by the Somalis, and it's going to influence election outcomes. That's scary as heck. But now to the January 6th thing. This is where I really have a problem, and I hope my voice is loud enough, and maybe there's others who will, this has to be completely investigated, and there's so many people that need to be exonerated because, look at this, they're going to take this narrative, and they're going to run with it, and they're going to keep trying to, push, basically delegitimize both Trump administrations over this. And unless it's been brought out to show exactly what happened, I don't believe that there were many people on our side that did anything wrong. As a matter of fact, the vast majority went on, apparently, allegedly, and even as far as Roger Stone says, this was all, inspired, by operatives within the crowds. And, and actually, I believe that there is an establishment. Both sides, they reached across the aisle, and they want this cloudy narrative to hang over the whole January 6th issue. Which
is why, well, and especially the Democrats, clearly, but I think your point's a good one, Joaquin, that clearly I think the truth does need to come out. And I don't think we know it. I mean, I brought up the fact that you look at even these hearings. I mean, the hearings, the so-called sham of hearings, they were so one-sided. Evidence was, destroyed. There's a lot of stories about how people were let in. And I keep going back to also the whole fact that, where was the security? Security was asked. It's on record that Donald Trump repeatedly said, hey, we should have extra security that day. Can we call in the National Guard? Can we have this? Can we have that? And guess what? It wasn't there. So you have to wonder why not when they knew it was going to be a massive crowd. Joaquin, thank you. You're terrific, and Happy New Year. Hopefully I'll talk with you tomorrow, too, as well. It's always wonderful to get your calls. And everybody, we're going to continue with your calls, but first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from Elmont, New York, where at 104, World War II veteran Dominic Critelli honored his fallen comrades with an incredibly moving saxophone performance of the national anthem just before the NHL game between the New York Islanders and New York Rangers at UBS Arena. Critelli served as a staff sergeant with the 95th Infantry Division during World War II. He was completing 151 days of combat, and he received multiple medals, including 3 Bronze Stars. Now, back in May of 2024, veteran Critelli was knighted with the French Legion of Honor. And in June of 2024, I was so honored to actually meet him when he participated in the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings when I was there in Normandy as well. And what an incredible man. And boy, he just wowed the crowd there at the Islanders game, bringing people to tears, the crowd chanting USA, USA. And Critelli saying, that's why I go to these places. I want to do it. I want to represent my fallen comrades, to do something for them. That's all I can do for them. Wow, what a powerful living tribute to those who served alongside him and also never returned. And everybody, America's heroes need your help. Donate just $11 a month to the absolutely incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. I love this organization. There is no better way to do it, especially at the end of the year. You want to give. This is the group to do it to. Check them out at T2T.org. T2T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Here's to quitting. Quitting the couch for a quick run. Quitting the snooze button for a morning workout. Quitting giving up after 2 weeks. You see, staying committed to your fitness goals isn't easy. But with Apple Watch, you don't have to do it alone. Because Apple Watch gives you real-time motivation, plus advanced metrics that track all your workouts, so you can stick to your New Year's fitness resolutions. And once and for all, quit quitting with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
From writer-director Ryan Johnson. The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime. Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now playing on Netflix.
Retirement isn't just about closing out your career. It's living the life you've always dreamed of. With New York Life, you get the financial guidance to make it real. Start today at NYL.com.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
I'm waiting for the chorus. I know it's come and get my love. That was pretty close. I was waiting for it because you know what? It's been a rough week. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy year. We need a little love. I think we should end on with a little more happiness here because we're about to head into New Year's Eve. I think we all need a little more love. I'm not sure if we're going to love Mamdani. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll be doing the play-by-play on that. I'm going to be with you guys tomorrow night on New Year's Eve as we lead into it. And everybody, it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow because we'll hear about more announcements coming in. Donald Trump is keeping us on our toes. 2025 has been a wild year. And I'm ready for 2026. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the pain points of wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.